Growing up in the mountains of North Carolina, I was taught racism. From as young as I can remember, I was told black people are violent. Black people are lazy. Black people are not as smart as white people. I remember my dad told me that black people are too lazy to work, and so they depend on welfare to live, and they sell drugs. 10 minutes after my dad said that to me, a man knocked on the door. I let him in. He handed my dad some money. My dad weighed out some marijuana and a few pills and handed it to that gentleman. And then we went to the store to buy some groceries. We didn't buy groceries with the money that man just handed my father. It was little yellow, blue, and green food coupons. So my dad is trying to teach me that black people are drug dealers on welfare, while my dad was selling drugs out the living room, living on welfare. You see, he would tell me, son, I work very hard. I don't make enough money to provide for you kids, so that's why I sell these drugs. I just love you so much. And these food stamps, well, I pay my taxes, so I earn them. You see, the indoctrination begins at a very young age. We are taught without even knowing it, there are two Americas. Despite marijuana use with the black community and the white community at the same rate, the black community is arrested and convicted at a rate 3 times higher than white America. There are black Americans in prison right now serving 30 and 40-year sentences for marijuana, while corporations are becoming multi-billion-dollar businesses selling marijuana. There are two Americas. If a man broke in my house right now, and I shot that man in the back, albeit in my own house, I could not claim self-defense because I shot him in the back. But a police officer can shoot Jacob Blake in the back 7 times and still be at work. If that's okay with you, we are on different moral platforms. We are on different ethical existences if that's okay with you. There's two Americas. The America I grew up in says if you comply, everything will be okay. Well, for white America, that's true. But black America faces a very different reality. The use of force and the threat of the use of force is actually 4 times higher for police-initiated interactions. The America I grew up in will say, if you stop talking about racism, it'll go away. Well, for white America, that's true. Because as a white American, I don't have to think about my race. I'm not judged by my skin color as soon as a potential employer meets me. As soon as a loan officer meets me. As someone that's coming to appraise my home for sale, don't judge me by my skin color. As a white American, I can completely forget about my race and even racism, so long as nobody talks about it. So then in my world, it won't exist. Well, I've decided enough of that. I'm here to call white America to task. I'm here to tell white America it's time to stand the hell up. Beside our fellow human beings, beside our fellow citizens, and it's time for white America to be part of the solution. I was raised by racists. I was taught how to be racist. So you can quit telling me that racism doesn't exist. You're a damn liar. I was raised in the belly of the beast. I was raised by racists, and now they hate me. I call that a glow up. That's all right. I'm not here to speak for black America, over black America, at black America. I'm here to speak to and at white America, and I'm screaming, wake the hell up. White supremacy is woven into the very fabric of this country. White supremacy bleeds from every pore of this country. In schools, we have standardized testing, but we don't have standardized resources. We don't have standardized opportunities. In hospitals, a black woman is more likely to die during childbirth at a rate 3 times higher than that of a white woman. In neighborhoods, power plants and dumps are more likely to be put up by a predominantly black neighborhood than a predominantly white neighborhood. At home, 22% of black America lives in poverty, whereas only 9% of white America lives in poverty. White America loves black music, black trends, black culture, but kills black people at a rate 2.87 times higher than that of white people by the police. All of these things will not change unless we tear down, I'm going to say that again, unless we tear down the system of white supremacy that has built them into existence. We cannot fix the current system, for it is not broken. This system is working exactly as it was intended. Passing laws will not change it. You cannot legislate morality. Black America has screamed tirelessly for decades about these injustices, while white America has turned a blind eye and a deaf ear. Well, I'm here to say no more. Change is coming. Revolution is coming. It's time to open your eyes, white America. White people make up nearly 60% of the American population, and the overwhelming majority of them refuse to even admit that racism exists. They think that there's a conspiracy against them by the government with zero evidence, but ignore the obvious systemic racism and oppression against black America that's well documented. Well, I've made it my life's mission to call white America to task. Mr. Blake, Miss Austin, to...
The video that you're about to watch will show you rare moments that I think white people come out and, they decide to talk about the truth. But this is what matters. What matters is that he says the truth and he exposes what I think is hidden in what is called white supremacy. Majority of people will, say that white supremacy doesn't exist. I mean, not white supremacy, honestly, it's white privilege. Majority of white folks will come out and say that white privilege doesn't exist. White privilege is something that happened a long time ago. It doesn't exist today. Tell me what? Why am I getting white privilege? Brothers and sisters, I want you to listen to what this brother says, because what he says exposes the truth that majority of white Americans are not always ready to talk and have this conversation about. And so it's imperative for you to understand that times are coming when the truth is getting exposed. And a majority of you are asking, why is it that right now we are seeing a lot of white people coming out and exposing the things that happened? This is time that proves that what black people have been saying about some white folks is coming to be the truth. It will reach a point when white people will get tired of the very system that fed them. They'll get tired and they'll come out and they'll start calling them out. This is a person that has lived with a racist parents. And what you're about to hear is something that will give you a perspective that, brothers and sisters, I want you to take your time and listen. He's a good guy. He's called Good Ginger, right? So when he comes out and exposes this means that he is tired. And he is tired of all these things that is raised or the people that he's seen them do. And so he is tired with them. He is tired with all this idea. And so, brothers and sisters, I want you to join me in this video so that you can also see what I'm talking about. And then after watching it, I'll come back, I'll be sharing my thoughts, and we'll have a great discussion in regards to this. So if you're watching me for the first time, I'm asking you to please subscribe to the channel, join the membership, and really get to what I can offer you. I'm your host and presenter, Agentic Stories. So let's watch. I'll be back.
All the families of victims of police brutality in this country, to all of those of you who wake up every day and deal with the system of white supremacy built to marginalize you, I say to you this one thing: I will stand with you. I will march with you. I will protest with you. I will fight with you. I will use my privilege and my platform to demand that white America stop ignoring this humanitarian crisis happening right here in America. So, white America, this is your choice. Either be part of the solution, or by God, you are the problem. No justice.
I've never told this story in a video. I've mentioned it on podcasts before, but I've never made a video and told the story. My mother, seen here, was 16 years old when I was born. My dad was 21. They'd been together since she was 14. So she was 14, he was 19 when they got together. You guys have heard me talk about my dad before. He was very racist. My mother will tell you the same. And my mother, being very young and uneducated, she just kind of went along with whatever my dad did. And he was also abusive. My mother was abused. And I talked to her before I made this video to make sure that she's okay with me telling that part of her story. My dad was a domestic abuser and also a child abuser. He abused me as well. That's not the point of this video, though. When I was 3 years old, my mother was 19. She found the courage to leave my dad, which wasn't easy to do. And the divorce was nasty because my dad he's passed away now, a pretty controlling, narcissistic type guy. And shortly after leaving my dad, my mother was in a relationship with another man who was a black man. And my dad being the racist. See, I was raised in the 80s in North Carolina, and my dad was a racist. So her leaving him for a black man was like this big taboo thing. Like, you don't do that. And so when everything went to court, my dad ultimately got custody of me because the judge in the 80s in North Carolina is not giving the child to the woman dating a black man, to the white woman dating a black man, especially when my dad was the one with the career and the income and the money, and my mom had nothing. He had left her with nothing. Fast forward to when I was 10 years old. During those 7 years after the divorce, my dad taught me to hate my mom. He taught me that she was a sinner, that the Bible did not approve of interracial marriages. He showed me in the Bible where the Bible says you can't marry outside your race. And I believed her to be basically of the devil himself. I hated her. When I was 10 years old, I found out that my dad was being taken to court because my mother was trying to get visitation rights. I was terrified. I didn't want to meet this evil woman. She won. She got visitation rights of me. I'll never forget ever to this day. I can still vividly remember where I was, the weather and everything when she picked me up the first time. I was terrified. But I made it my mission, that first visit, that she would never visit me again. I made that my mission, that she would never want to see me after this day. I called her a sinner. I called her children, because she had 3 children with her second husband. Obviously, they were biracial children. And I called her children the N-word. I called her an N-word lover. Now, keep in mind, I'm 10 years old. But this is how I was raised. This is what I believed at age 10. And she told me, you shouldn't think like this or talk like this, and I ignored her. It was like a 2-hour visitation, whatever it was, and then she dropped me back off at my house. And I told my dad, she'll never pick me up again, Dad, I promise you. 2 weeks later, when it was time for her next visitation, I waited in my yard on the Saturday at the time that I was supposed to be there. And I was sure she wouldn't pull up, but she did. She did pull up. I was befuddled. Oh my God, she came back. This time, she took me to her house. In a mostly black neighborhood, and a place I had never been. I was raised on the mountain, all white neighborhood, very much racist. And I was told that black neighborhoods were crime-ridden, filthy areas. Avoid them. So I went to this black neighborhood and I thought, oh my God. I went in her house and she said, I want you to meet your brothers and sisters. And they came out and they were so excited to see me because my mom had never told them a bad thing about me. And I wanted to be mean to them because that's how I was raised. But I couldn't. I couldn't bring myself to be mean to them because they were so nice and polite to me. I was not nice to them. I tolerated them in my mind, but I wasn't mean to them. And then every 2 weeks she came and got me. And over the course of time, I built a relationship with my siblings, with her. And I started questioning things like maybe the things my dad told me are not true, because what I see in this neighborhood. What I see in my mom's house, what I see everywhere is not what I was told. And I had a choice to make at the early age of about 11. Do I believe what I was raised, or do I challenge these ideas? And just like my mom had got away from my dad and challenged those ideas and grew and was better, I decided that I too can be better. I started challenging the ideas my dad raised me. It started a very tumultuous relationship with my dad, as if it wasn't tumultuous to begin with. Again, I was an abused child. I'm trying to keep this video short, so I'm missing a lot of very deep details, but I'm trying to give you the idea. By the time I was 15, I had read books and read the speeches of Dr. King and watched interviews with Malcolm X, and I really started realizing, like, there's a whole nother world out there that I didn't realize. Fred Hampton, Angela Davis, these things really opened my eyes. And I even basically got into a fight with my dad over it when I was 15 and was thrown out of my house. But my deconstruction process had begun, and it has continued for the past, 27 years. I'm 42 now. And it's all thanks to my mom. Just being a mom. Just showing up. And I've never had like the closest relationship with my mom because the story I just told you. But I've been friends with her now for, how old is that? 25 years. And I just want to say thanks for showing up. Thanks for not giving up on me. I may have never challenged my ideas and beliefs and may have been stuck in the same trap that, I was born into, and I wasn't. So, thanks, Mom. Happy Mother's Day.
Hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host and presenter, Jintic Stories. Let's have a chat in regards to this. When a white man speaks out honestly about the injustices and manipulations of whiteness, it shakes the foundation of racial comfort in America. You understand that for centuries, white people have been protected by silence in America. For centuries, white people have been protected by silence about how slavery, segregation, and systemic racism built their wealth and privilege. So when a white person comes out and speaks publicly, admits that the truth, which creates a kind of earthquake within the white society, this exposes the moral contradictions that many prefer to ignore. The reaction of betrayal from other white people reveals just how deeply they depend on collective denial to sustain their identity. It is not that the truth is new. You've seen black scholars, you've seen black preachers, you've seen a lot of revolutionaries, including white, right, who have said it for generations. Minister Louis Farrakhan, Tim Wise, name all these groups of people that have talked about this. They have been coming out and advocating for this truth. But when it comes from within whiteness, it passes the walls of defense that has been long protected. White confront from the realities of racial oppression. Now, another thing that I also think that it's important for us to discuss is that this act of truth-telling also exposes a psychological structure of whiteness itself. Whiteness is not simply a skin color. You need to understand that. It is a social system built on myths. Myths of superiority, myths of innocence, and myths of entitlement. To maintain those myths, white society had to rewrite history, glorify violence, and erase black humanity. So when one of their own refuses to participate in that deception, it feels like betrayal because it breaks the silent agreement that whiteness must always protect itself. A white truth teller becomes dangerous not because he attacks white people, but because it removes the mask, forcing others to see what lies beneath. That's greed, that's hypocrisy, and moral cowardice hidden behind politeness and patriotism. My message to black Americans is that black Americans hearing this kind of truth from a white person can be both validating and frustrating at the same time. I get it, right? It's validating because it confirms everything the black community has said for centuries about exploitation, about oppression, about systemic lies. But it's frustrating because these truths are often ignored until they come from a white voice. Society gives white truth tellers credibility, then black truth tellers. So many black truth tellers have been denied, have been dismissed. Right? Minister Louis Farrakhan, perfect example. He talked about all these things that you're seeing are happening right now, but his messages were always being dismissed. His messages were always being taken, put by aside. This reveals another layer of racism. The same message is only accepted when it is delivered through the mouth of the oppressor. But still, when white voices use their privilege to speak truthfully, it opens cracks in the walls of denial that can allow genuine conversations about justice to begin with. The white man's confrontation with racial truth also exposes a moral divide among white Americans themselves, and we need to talk about this. On one side are those who cling to the myths of their ancestors, and that's defending status, rewriting textbooks, and pretending racism is over. On the other hand, there are those who dare to face the truth that whiteness was built by theft. Whiteness was built by genocide, by enslavement, and this legacy still shapes every institution today. The latter group often finds themselves ostracized, attacked, or labeled as race traitors because they threaten the moral comfort of their peers. But yet, they represent something rare: the possibility of moral courage within whiteness, the willingness to sacrifice social acceptance for truth. Another thing that I would like to talk about is that many white people, honestly, with this video, I know they feel betrayed. They feel betrayed by such truth tellers because deep down, they know he is right. They know the wealth of their ancestors came from unpaid black labor. They know American democracy was built on stolen land and broken promises. But this is where they draw the line. They draw the line admitting that the truth requires giving up the illusion of innocence. And that's something whiteness has never been ready to do. The betrayal they feel is not really towards the truth teller, but towards themselves, because his honesty forces them to confront guilt, denial, and hypocrisy they've buried for generations. The internal conflict is why so many react with anger, so many react with denial or resentment whenever race is honestly discussed. Right. Also, a message to America. For America as a nation, such truth-telling moments are crucial because, why? They strip away the false moral narratives that the country has lived on. The United States presents itself as a beacon of freedom, democracy, and equality, but the image has always depended on the erasure of the suffering of black and brown people. When a white man exposes that lie from within, it threatens the mythology that sustains American exceptionalism. It reminds the world that freedom in America was never universal. It was selective, built on exploitation, masked by religious and patriotic language. That exposure doesn't just challenge white individuals, it challenges the very soul of America. So, brothers and sisters, please let me know what you think and feel about this video. But until then, I'm your host and presenter Agent Stories. Until then, peace, love, and harmony. Salute.